Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the show. This is Dem Tech Folks Podcast, and we're publishing now episode 24, believe it or not. And this is an old episode that we recorded back in June the 5th of 2024 with none other than the founder of Black Girls Hack. Right? We had a great conversation, very engaging, very funny. We had a great time. We talked about everything. We talked about higher education. We talked about mental health. We talked about family. And believe it or not, she's a huge fan, so we had to talk about Shonda Rhimes. If you've enjoyed the show so far, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Please share this with all your family and friends so we can build and grow our support system. Um, and just enjoy the show. Here you go.
So I did not get into medical school. I applied to like 10 or 11 schools and didn't get in. So my father wanted me to be a programmer. And I was like, whatever I'm doing, I'm not going to be a programmer. So I found that I actually liked breaking software and figuring out why it's not. When I started Black Girls Hack, I said I was going to provide resources for folks so that they can find like low cost alternatives to getting training. Because at the time, the thing of the day was, hey, you go and pay tens of thousands of dollars for a boot camp that may or may not get you a job, that jobs may or may not respect in terms of the people who are going to fight for the issues that are impacting these issues, especially as they come to, bias and discrimination, are going to be the people who are a victim of it, which are underrepresented communities. So we need to start seeing. Director Easterly actually came by, to our village, and I think that was the only village that she went to that year when she came to DEF CON. So the next year we applied. We're like, hey, we're going to bring back Girls Hack Village again. And DEF CON basically said that they didn't see the value of us coming. And we're like, nah, chill. Like, we had been planning to do this. So we had to basically pivot and, stand up our own, conference. And like, not only are we holding it, we're going to hold it on the same days. Like, that's how I feel. How do you tell them when they got you effed up? Like, it's like, I don't have problems when I'm watching Shonda Rhimes. Nope.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off.
My name is Tennisha Martin. I am the executive director and founder of Black Girls Hack. We are a nonprofit training organization set up to help increase diversity in cybersecurity and technology fields. And we provide training and resources for people who are looking to either get into the industry or transition from another industry. Northeast DC, Ward Street.
DC?
I am from Kenilworth, so
I'm from St. Petersburg.
Listen, Southeast.
Hey,
I saw y'all kind of had like a little moment right there. Do like people in DC have like a certain like a nod or a handshake? Or something? Like if somebody said they're from DC, like all right, show me the handshake, bro.
Well, no, you got to ask them if they're actually from DC, because there'll be people who'll be like, I'm from like PG County, and they'll be like, I'm from DC, and I'm like, no, I'm from like actual DC, DC proper.
The intersection.
Yeah. Sounds like
so my mom is from Northeast and my dad is from Southeast. So I am from DC through and through, which I'm very proud of, because, there was a lot of folks that didn't make it out. So
yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
What was the best part about growing up in DC that you remember?
I think it prepared me for the level of foolishness and, just drama in the workforce, because I think just dealing with like crackheads and hoodlums and my friends from around the neighborhood, I think I can 100% be put in any environment and I'll be okay. And I think for me that's probably the best thing that it did. It just made me very, like, when you talk about code switching, like I can literally be put in any environment and I'll be all right.
Is that because you just kind of you adjust to environments? You do a lot of code switching, do you feel?
Darwin, like survival of the fittest, so it's literally like you either get it together or you're not going to be here anymore. So I've had to get it together.
Gotcha. Cool. And at what point growing up in DC did you find that you wanted to work in this field? Well, actually, hold on. You say you were EMT. I got a feeling that there's some other professions that came before or after that. Like,
we
tell us
gotta
about
get
your
into
work
that.
history.
Yeah, so I went to school for electrical and computer engineering, and at some point, I decided I wanted to go to medical school. So I finished my engineering courses kind of early. So like I did my electives in like organic chemistry and all of those pre-med type courses or whatever. So I did whatever I could before I graduated. And then I went to my first master's degree, and it was in healthcare policy and management. I did that for a couple of years. And then when I left, I moved outside of Philly for a couple of years and did pre-med at Cheney, which is in Chester, Pennsylvania. And I did that for a couple of years because my plan was to apply to medical school. And if I didn't get in, then I was going to have to join the real world. So I did not get into medical school. I applied to like 10 or 11 schools and didn't get in. So ended up having to join the real world, and got a job in doing IT healthcare consulting.
So IT was your fallback.
Well, my degree was in electrical computer engineering, so like my plan was always like I wanted to have something to do in the event that it didn't work out. But I when I started the program, my plan was to do computer engineering. My father wanted me to be a programmer, and I was like, whatever I'm doing, I'm not going to be a programmer. So I found that I actually liked breaking software and figuring out why it's not working a lot more than I did actually creating the software. So when I joined the real world, I started doing software testing as a part of my consultancy.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Ebony was a developer, right? Ebony.
Yes. Yes, that is correct. So, Tennisha,
Yes, ma'am.
Reggie had a question, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in there. Reggie could get in next. Reggie got next. It's cool. Reggie got next. Reggie got next. So, all of those things are amazing things right now. And I think the first time that we spoke, you were in the middle of getting some grants and expanding your Black Girls Hack program for the certifications and for the trainings. So can you talk a little bit about why you started that program and how it's going and how it's developed?
Absolutely. So when I was trying to transition, from software testing and QA into cybersecurity, I was having a hard time. And at the time, I had like a bunch of degrees and a bunch of certifications, but I was still having a hard time. And I said, I'm having a hard time, and I've got 20 years of experience and a whole bunch of degrees and certifications, and I know that the people who are coming behind me, they're going to also have issues as well. So when I started Black Girls Hack, I said I was going to provide resources for folks so that they can find like low cost alternatives to getting training, because at the time, like, the thing of the day was, hey, you go and pay tens of thousands of dollars for a boot camp that may or may not get you a job, that jobs may or may not respect in terms of your education or your preparation. Only for you to still not be able to get a job, So I was like, hey, this is a whole problem. So when I started, and I was learning and teaching myself how to hack, I was teaching other people as well. I was like, hey, we just gonna do this on live, and we're gonna learn together. So I did that for for years, and then at some point, we had other instructors who as the organization grew and we got more volunteers, we've had other people who've taken over the instruction of those courses, and I've been able to focus on things like getting grants and fundraising to try to get money for us to be able to do the programs. So today we're 2,000 plus members strong. We've got a whole bunch of folks that are working on various programs. So we've got 0 to hero, like 18-month programs for like red team, blue team, cloud security, AI, GRC, digital forensics, because cybersecurity is a very big space, and we need to see more diversity in all areas of the industry, not just the hacking or the things that I personally think are sexy.
I know. It's always like everybody has different opinions of what is sexy in cybersecurity, and it has a tendency to be so frustrating. I know that in your own podcast, AI Thoughts, like and subscribe. I know that in your own podcast on AI Thoughts, you've had a couple of guests that have really overemphasized the importance of integrating diversity into artificial intelligence and the development of large language models. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that? Obviously, you have a lot of thoughts because you have so many episodes, but like right now, right now, you can just give us a few.
I've got thoughts on everything. I tell people I mind people's business for a living, so
Hey, listen.
I got thoughts. But yeah, like I think that the problems that we're seeing with a lot of these AI systems have to do with the fact that there's a lot of bias and discrimination that is basically baked into the models, the data that they're trained with, the algorithms that they're built with. You had a whole bunch of what's essentially like older white men who basically trained the models and put together things for them. And what we're finding is that they're having, issues with simple things like being able to tell one black woman's face from another. The error rates for black women for facial recognition systems, I think, are as high as 30%, regardless of who the maker is of the systems. And, that's problematic just because of the fact that, if we're talking about this being used in the criminal justice system, for example, that means that they may not be able to tell me and Ebony apart, which means, they'll be like, hey, you going to jail because we think that she did it, but, you'll do.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you,
So
I'm gonna run. You're gonna be on your own.
Yeah, so we need to get more diversity, more representation in all of the aspects, especially when we're talking about artificial intelligence, because there's going to be so many downstream applications of these tools for so many different things. And I don't want it to be operating on me, or for it to be deciding my fate, for example, if it has certain thoughts about me as a black woman. For example, if you ask some of the systems today, like, hey, could you show me what a child in the juvenile justice system, or juvenile offenders look like, it only draws little black boys. It doesn't even, the systems can't even comprehend the fact that the world exists in a way that's different than what they've been trained on, right? So if everything I give it says, black boys are the only one who commit crimes, then it's going to assume like if you're a black boy, then you did it.
Absolutely.
So there's changes that need to be made, not just to the algorithms themselves, but I think also to the data as well. But a lot of money goes into training these systems, right? So the people who are doing it are the people who, have the money, they have the data, and, realistically, it's not going to impact them. The people who are going to fight for the issues that are impacting these issues, especially as they come to, bias and discrimination, are going to be the people who are a victim of it, which are underrepresented communities. So we need to start seeing more Black people in the space who care about the issues and that talk about them.
More people of color in general, right? Like one of my concerns, because you brought up a very interesting point about allowing artificial intelligence to direct things, to manage things, to distribute things. And so historically, from a medical perspective, it's always perceived that Black women have a higher tolerance for pain, right? And inevitably, the belief is that, oh, well, we can give you less medication because this is historically what has been true. But historically, that's not true. That's all wrong. And now you're basing,
right. They just chose to give people, less medicine, and they're using that data to train these systems. So it's like garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
So if I have perceptions about something, like if I feel like everything should be purple, and I build an LLM and everything's purple, it's like, it doesn't matter what color it should be. I said everything should be purple, so that's what it's trained in, and that reality is what we're going to see in a lot of these systems, because we're not actually getting the systems to be trained. Most people are taking like a Copilot or taking ChatGPT, and then they're building something on top of it, which means whatever they've done to train those systems, which we don't have visibility into, because it's not like it's a white box system. You just get whatever the result is. And I think that we need to do better in terms of getting people who are interested in the topic and doing research in this space, because we don't see a lot of Black people as hackers. We definitely don't see a lot of Black people as
But not as hackers. I say we often see them as criminals, but we don't often see them as hackers, right? And there's a minor difference, right?
Very much so. But I think that we need to start to see more changes, and to do that, we're going to need to get people. We're going to need to develop a pipeline for employment. Which means we need to get people who are in school who haven't yet gotten to the point where they have to choose their degrees, or people who maybe are about to go to start doctorates, and they're trying to figure out what type of research problems they want to approach. So I think that the way that we do that is we provide exposure, let people know that there's things out there, because I think that there's going to be a future in which everybody, no matter what sector or what industry you're in, that AI is going to be a part of your day-to-day operations. So, at that point, we need to make sure that people are well versed and they know, how to not just use these systems, but, how to make sure that people are staying safe.
Yeah. I was going to say that story that you brought up really was really good. It reminds me of the story of I did like a presentation about Joy Baluwani, the lady who invented the basically the facial recognition for Snapchat for your facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you show your face, it'll like show like a cat or whatever. There was a problem with black faces in that program, and what she did to program it was she put on a white mask and basically programmed it that way. But that's exactly what you're talking about. Even little things like that is what you think about when we think about this thing. But I did kind of want to pivot to something that I was very, very inspired by you, and it kind of goes along with the whole Black Girls Hack. How you rolled that into Girl Hack Village and SquadCon, and how that became this huge conference and stuff like that. Now, how did that come about? How did you? I mean, that's amazing.
Like it's gonna be like a crazy story.
Yeah, I know, right?
It is. It's not without a little bit of drama. So we went.
Oh, drama. We like drama. Okay.
We went to.
I was there for the first Girls Hack Village, and that's why the drama interested me. But now I'm gonna be quiet and listen to it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we went in 2022. We went and we had our first Girls Hack Village because I went to Hacker Summer Camp first time for 2021, and I was like, yeah, we're about to have our own village. We're about to be in here. Like, I see the vision. I love it. This is what we're about to do. So next year, true to my word, we had our village. It was absolutely crazy. Like, they put us in like this little like room in the cut somewhere.
It was all the way off the strip. Like
it was, but like there were so many people in there. We had people like sitting on the ground, like filling in all of the spaces. Like there was so of every gender, color, all of the things, and it was absolutely amazing. But we got a lot of support, and Director Easterly actually came by, to our village, and I think it was the only village that she went to that year when she came to DEF CON. So the next year we applied. We're like, hey, we're going to bring back Girls Hack Village again. And DEF CON basically said that they didn't see the value of us coming, that they didn't need a Girls Hack Village, that all of the things that we were bringing, other villages already brought in terms of hacking and, ethical hacking and things of that nature. They're like, they can get all of those things in other villages. We don't need something that's specifically for girls. So they did not invite us back, and they sent us a letter, but they also sent that to some other folks as well. And they were like, but you can come and sell some swag at the vendor space, or, what I'm saying? It was something like that. And we're like, nah, chill. Like, we had been planning to do this. So we had to basically pivot and, stand up our own, conference in, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 months or something like that, which we did. We raised over 200,000, because cookies are expensive in Las Vegas. Like, absolutely crazy. But we raised over 200,000 to be able to hold the conference. And we stood it up, and we had like some amazing keynotes. We had Camille Stewart Gloucester, Director Easterly was one of our keynotes, and Marcus J. Carey, and a whole bunch of other people who came and spoke as well. So it was absolutely amazing. We got awesome support from the community. So we were like, hey, we're going to just run this back again. So this year we are bringing it back again for our second year for SquadCon, and we're ready to go. Because we're like, hey, we can do this differently. We don't have to deal with somebody who doesn't even see the value in something simple as having a unique perspective in the space, and of course in organizations run by mostly like white people, especially white men, I don't expect them to understand why there needs to be a space for women, and they don't even have anything that's for women in DEF CON, which is crazy to me because it's like, hey, if you're a hacker, it doesn't matter if you're a girl. Like what?
So Tennisha was like Thanos in Avengers with the gauntlet. Fine, I'll do it myself.
My petty is strong. I was like, not only are we holding it, we're gonna hold it on the same days. Like, that's how I feel.
She had to find a space in Vegas during the busiest time for hackers and cybersecurity in general. It's Black Hat, it's B-Sides, it's DEF CON, and do all that in 2 months, raise money, and find people to come talk to.
Yeah, I'm about to say squadcon.me is our website. So if you go there, there's a link for the call for proposals. I also have a whole bunch of pages on my LinkedIn. So I tell folks I have my thigh out at all times, trying to make sure that we're getting stuff done.
Got to.
Yeah, and don't you have just Tennisha.com too, right? I mean, that's yeah. I mean, like I got my own, like just first name only. I was like, okay, that's what we're doing.
I mean, that's what happens when you're old and the first of my name. No, I think that there's actually there was one before me, but she wasn't on social media, so I snatched up most of the Tennisha real estate.
She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
Yeah, you gotta stay ready. You're gonna get left behind. So sorry for all of those other Tenishas.
So I think you did a really good job of covering this, but I kind of was gonna ask you about that, but I think you kind of answered it about how you kind of empower women in a male-dominated field. But it sounds like you're just doing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for the most part, Black women have the ability to get things done. We tend to be like one of the most educated groups. We tend to be go-getters, always doing a whole bunch of things. And I think that the biggest thing is that as women, we need to get out of our own heads. When you're talking about applying to jobs, for example, men will look at a job and they'll be like, hey, I fit half of this, I'm gonna go ahead and apply. And women will look at those same jobs and they'll be like, well, I'm only hitting 80% of this. I don't think I know enough to be able to apply for these jobs, right? And a lot of what I do is have conversations with people and tell them to basically start thinking like, mediocre white men. I need you to go ahead and out here and start applying for jobs and shoot your shot and take the opportunity and let them say no. Worst they can do is say no, shoot the shot.
Yeah, I always say if you meet the top 2 or 3 of them, usually that's all people need. Everything else is kind of like fluff. But what are your thoughts towards like education versus like certifications when trying to get into the field?
So I have strong feelings on this, but I have also got 5 master's degrees and
5.
5.
Yeah.
Did you get one?
I've got a doctorate.
Dang.
I'm working on my doctorate right now. I'm a year in, so I should probably be done with that in maybe about a year and a half or so. But my research is on like cybersecurity as at the intersection of education and artificial intelligence. So how we can use AI systems to better train hackers of the future.
Did you start that just purely for the research, or what was the motivation behind starting a PhD program?
Part of it's for the research, but then part of it was also like, so I can get Doc Martin on my tags. I'm only halfway joking there.
No, you're not. No, you're 100%.
That's why I said I'm only halfway joking. And I've already started conditioning my husband to be like, hey, you have to call me Dr. Wife, after I finish my degree. So, he's not with it at all. He's not with it.
He has a little bit of time to get on board.
I'm extremely persuasive, so like I feel like by the time I get done, he'll be on board and he'll be out here to like, this is my Dr. Wife.
You got to start writing it on the mirror so it shows up when it's
when he's taking a shower. All he sees is Dr. Wife.
It'll feel different when they present you as Mr. and Dr.
Hey,
no, Doctor and Mister.
Hey.
Hey, listen. They're gonna be like, my name not Mister. Yes, it is today.
Somebody in the chat said you should beat them more. We don't condone violence. That is not our position.
No, we don't. But I will definitely tell you that the inception is going to work. Just start like leaving post-its in the car, like the steam in the mirror, like just really subtle hints.
So, Ebony, you sound like you've done this before.
I don't think that's important. Let's focus on these 5 masters that Tennisha got. Okay, let's focus on that. Okay, this is serious.
Yeah, but I don't recommend that for anybody. So like I'm probably like the wrong person to ask, because I feel like if I had it all to do over again, I would probably just do the ones that are important that I need for my resume, because I kept going back to school because I wasn't getting what I needed in terms of educational experience. I wasn't getting hands-on activities. Like my cybersecurity master's was from Johns Hopkins, and they didn't discuss a Cali box. They didn't talk about they talked about very much so theory and not so much hands-on. And the problem is that you're spending in some cases $50,000 a year on a degree. And then you graduate and you go to apply for a job, and they're like, well, we want you to have hands-on experience. Well, if I needed hands-on experience to get a job, then why isn't it included in the curriculum? Why isn't it something that's taught, right? So we're basically leaving people to the point where even after they go and get a bachelor's, maybe even if they go and get a master's degree, that they're going to at that point then have to still spend time getting hands-on skills, developing a portfolio, trying to figure out things in order to be able to get that first job. Because I think what we'll see as AI starts to proliferate more into the industry is that the point at which they need hackers and cybersecurity professionals to operate is going to be increased, because all of the low level things are going to be handled by machine learning and automated systems. So at some point we're going to need to elevate our skills and our knowledge sets in order for us to be competitive in the market, right? So, and that includes hands-on on skills, which are not being taught in schools. So, that's part of the reason why I'm looking at this just from a research perspective, because, as a training organization, what I care about is what's the most efficient way for us to teach people how to get into cybersecurity in a way that's not going to break the bank, and in the most efficient way that's possible, right? A lot of companies are falling back on the requirements for degrees. Some of them are even falling back on requirements for certifications, right? Some of the certifications out here are tens of thousands of dollars, and it's like, you want me to pay $10,000 to get the certification so that I can get this job. And it's like, how am I supposed to pay for this? Yeah, how am I supposed to pay for this? You want me to have it when I come in the door?
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
Minimum.
So part of what I do is like when I'm talking to folks about resources, it's like, hey, how do you get these $10,000 certifications for free? Which, by the way, the SANS academies are open right now, like the diversity academies for women and minorities and things of that nature. So they'll give them away for free. I think that those are important, because there's no reason why we have to be both in debt in order to be educated and prepared for a career in cybersecurity.
Do you have a favorite certification? I know you have like a whole catalog of them along with your degrees.
I think Tennisha might have made up 3 certifications last week. She just didn't release them yet.
Look, I'm actually working on about 3 of them right now that I'm working on. But yeah, like I don't have a favorite one. I think the hardest one for me thus far was the PMP, which I've never actually had to use. But I just keep it active because like what I'm not about to do is that again. That was the whole problem. But I don't have a favorite. Like they're all, I don't know. Like I think the SANS ones are super unique in terms of like they include both hands-on and multiple choice. So it's like, hey, not just do you understand what you're doing, but can you apply it in real world practical situations? But I don't have a favorite one. And I just try to make sure that I'm overqualified and overprepared for whatever the future may hold.
The really unfortunate thing about that is that you actively looking to be overqualified you will walk into somebody else's place and they'll be like, yeah, actually, I think I'm going to pay you 76 cents on this dollar. And also, I need you to have 37 years of experience. And it's like, bruh, look, I bet I can run circles around you. Like, we can have a conversation.
I might be older than most of you, but like
not.
when I come from, like, we were told that you needed to be twice as good as everybody else,
Yes.
as a Black woman in this space.
Right.
So like, all of my siblings have at least one master's. I think one of them has like one master's, but all the rest of them have multiple. So it's
Did
like,
did they make fun of him or her?
the one that has one, we do.
You only got one master.
They'll be like, "You slacker, what are you doing?" And he just got it recently. But all the rest of us, like my baby sister has, I think, like maybe 3 or 4. I've got 5, and I'm working on my doctorate. But
he's out here with a handful of masters. Like,
right? I'm putting together a basketball squad.
Were your parents educated in that way, or?
Both of my parents have master's degrees. My father's got several, but he's also very much so an overachiever in life. So I probably get it from him. He's the person who introduced the whole concept of taking over the world to me. He will literally call me and be like, "What are you doing?" And he's not asking me, like, he doesn't actually care how I'm doing. He just wants to know whether I'm still trying to take over the world, because there's no answer to "what are you doing" that doesn't involve trying to take over the world. So he'll call me sometimes, just checking, like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, take over the world. He like, "All right, cool, just checking. I'll let you later." And
Pinky in the brain status.
Hey, I remember that show, Pinky in the Brain, Tiny Toon Adventures.
That's the vibes.
Yeah.
Are you getting closer to taking over the world?
Honestly, I've made more progress in the past 5 years since I started BGH than I did probably the 20 years prior to that. But I think the difference is that I thought that I could take over the world by myself and just out certify, out train, out educate all of the people. But what I've found is that, like, a lot of the success that I've achieved have been based on, number one, the people that I've surrounded myself, like having dope people like our board, my colleagues at BGH. And then the other part is just, having a network of people who support the work that you're doing. I will have people who will like come up to me like randomly at conferences, like, "Oh my gosh, I want to meet you." And I'm like looking around like, who are we? And they're like, "No, I wanted to meet you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, I'm just here." But I am not a people person. Like, I am not an extrovert. I'm very much so an introvert. Like, I was okay with being inside for like, several years. I'm all right with that, like on a day-to-day basis. So, but it's just a matter of like, hey, how can I best achieve that? And it requires other people. Jobs are found without even applying for them. Now I have people who literally will reach out to me and say, "Hey, we want you to do this work." Like, I don't know them, but that's how, my LLC, BGH Security, has gotten most of its work. And, I hire the folks from BGH Foundation to do the work because they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, we trust you. We know you're doing amazing things. Can you do these things for us?" So that's what I do.
Was that kind of the plan to have that be a feeder for your your organization, or it just kind of happened like that?
Yeah, it kind of happened because the problem is that we're training a whole bunch of people. We're helping them get certifications. We're preparing them for mock interviews and updating their LinkedIn, but we don't have jobs to basically give them. And a lot of the jobs that I see, especially the ones that are quote unquote like entry level, are not actually entry level. Right? They're a bit ridiculous, and so they want you to have experience. And it's like one of those things. Like, how do I get ID if I don't have ID? Like, how am I supposed to get experience without, having experience? And so, what we do is like, I'll get the contracts and then, I'll hire folks on the squad and I'll be like, "Hey, do you want to get this work done?" And it's helped them to be able to, get work experience that they can then use on their resume to be able to get, other jobs and get their foot in the door. That's basically the premise behind it. Me personally, like, I don't want to actually run a business, but somehow I managed to get myself into running a nonprofit and another business. But it is what it is. I'm moving towards taking over the world. So
That's awesome. Are you in DC right now? Where are you? Where are you
I'm in
located?
Virginia.
Is it raining in Virginia?
I don't know. All I can tell you is that this sun is mad disrespectful on my face right
Yep.
here. And it must be setting because I'm like sitting here trying to move myself so that I'm not sitting here getting hit in. Like I probably should have closed my blinds, but I mean, it
That
is what
light
it
is
is.
really complimenting you. Just lean into it. Just the whole aura happening right there. It's great.
Oh, that's why I asked if it was raining because I hear that. You hear that?
Oh no.
You hear? No?
Yeah.
Huh. It's okay. Rico's still working out the sound effects here, but Tennisha, this is a time in our show where we ask our guest to teach us something in 1 minute or less. And you can teach us whatever you want in any topic. It doesn't have to even be tech related. You just got to tell us what you're going to teach us. Reddy's going to set the timer, and then you got 60 seconds to teach us.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, of course you can do this. Girl, bye. Girl, bye. You
That's
are
easy.
teaching master classes, running businesses.
All right, we ready?
All right, go.
All right, world domination in a minute or less. All right, so whatever your end plan is, that's what you need to figure out. So for me, my plan is to be the CISO of somebody's Fortune company at some point. So in order to figure out what your plan for world domination is, you have to figure out what your end goal is and then figure out like what's the job before that, right? So if you're a CISO, maybe before that you were a VP, maybe before that you were like a senior director, maybe before that you were a director. So you're basically going to map backwards from where you're trying to be a career path back to where you're at now so that you can figure out what are the next steps that you need to take in order to get to that next position. So once you do, you have to figure out, what are the certifications you need, what are the experience that you need, and then, what other, surrounding information that you need in order to move in that direction. So, by doing that, you can figure out where you're going. And then as your plan evolves over the course of time, you can, adjust it and change it. Just realizing that there's no one right answer to get to the top.
Nice. That's solid right there. That's actually a pretty solid way of directing people on how to get into the space. Period. Right.
Yeah, I actually teach a class. It's called World Domination Planning, and it basically goes through it. We do it I think it's 7 weeks, and basically each week we talk about how to work on your branding, how to work on your career planning, how to figure out what's the best way for you to get the skills that you need to get the experience and whatever it is that you need to get yourself to that next position. And then we'll help them do like mock interviews and update their resume to apply for those jobs. But that's I think what a lot of folks are missing when they're talking about like, hey, I want to get into cybersecurity. Well, cybersecurity is a big place. That's like, hey, I want to go to New York. Well, what part of New York? Your experience in Brooklyn is going to be much different than your experience in like Long Island, maybe, right? So, like, hey, it's not just saying like, hey, I want to go to New York. It's like, well, what do you specifically want to do once you get into cybersecurity? And once you figure that out, where your destination is, then you just have to figure out like, it's just space and opportunity. How do I get to that point? What skills do I need to be able to be competitive for these types of jobs? And you can, we talk about stalking people on LinkedIn to figure out, what positions they had before, because there's no one right way to get to somewhere. So it's just like, hey, how did different people do them? And, we have folks reach out and do informationals and say, hey, tell me about how you got to where you're at. Because, for everything that you might see on paper, there's probably, epic villain story behind it. About how they actually, what would they change? How they could have better gotten to where they're at, given, the clarity that is 2020, hindsight. So, they can provide you with that information to help, make your path a little bit easier to get into where you're trying to be.
So honestly, I looked at a lot of your resume, and I've seen books on just about everything. Just to pivot to that, right? I don't know if I've seen a book on the soft skill stuff like you're talking the world domination book, but I've seen the book on pen testing, security, stuff like that. So what makes Tanisha sit down and say, okay, I have all this knowledge. I want to write a book. I want to create a LinkedIn learning lesson. I want to do these things that to kind of pass that stuff on. So kind of give me
Um,
what you were thinking.
it's more so about branding for me. So, I think
Oh,
that for LinkedIn, it was just basically mutually beneficial, right? They want to build their LinkedIn Premium platform to have a wide variety of training for people. And then, me, of course, I want to get Black Girls Hack out there. I want to get my name out there so that people, know what it is that I'm doing, right? Because again, you can't do these things. You need the visibility. You need insight. So that's part of the reason what drives like so many of the things that I do, from creating the LinkedIn courses. Me and a couple of my colleagues and friends are working on another book that's going to be technical on AI. And I have another course that I'm in the process of doing for LinkedIn on offensive AI, in addition to me working on my doctorate research. But at that point, the sky's the limit at that point, because then that'll give me more opportunities to speak about my research, more opportunities to publish books, things of that nature. Hopefully at some point I can get to the point where I can retire and I can just, be on some big boy billionaire status and just leave, BGH, what are they called? Like an endowment or something like that, and just go off and live on some foreign country somewhere on a beach. But, until then, I'm just going to, keep trying to take over the world and, increasing my personal branding, but then also that of BGH, so that people know that we're out there. Because a lot of folks still assume, because the organization is called Black Girls Hack, that we only accept Black women into the organization, but BGH is open to everybody. As of right now, I think 75% of the folks are Black women, and then we have everything else under the rainbow. But we are still very much so a small organization, even though we've been around for at this point like 4 or 5 years.
so I think like doctor is important title, but published author, that's another big one too. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we hit a best-selling author with our book that we released this past year. So that was super amazing. So got to make sure that I'm setting realistic goals for myself to make sure that I'm continuing to elevate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like you gonna try to find yourself on a beach somewhere retired, and then your daddy gonna call and be like,
What you doing?
What you doing? Like, oh, yeah, I'm actually building an island right now, Pop. I promise that I'm still working on taking over the world. Like, I just feel like
He's not gonna be like, but that'll be the ultimate flex for me to be like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, taking over the world from retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like,
real talk, real talk.
Are you at work, sir? Like, that's so poor.
But
Like, get up.
a lot of most of the parents that you'll find that have given you the talk about being 2 times better, 3 times better, being a woman, being Black, like being in technology, like those are the parents that never want you to find yourself in their position, right? And like my mom, she will never retire. Like she will never retire. Like that is not in her stars right there until she can retire off one of her children. Right? And so,
Better be working.
But you know what? That would be considered a win for me as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am not just trying to elevate myself, but I'm also elevating my circle and my friends. So
absolutely.
if one of them get to the point where they've taken over the world before I do, like, retire me, hire me as your assistant to bring you coffee, and we can just travel the world. Like,
Kevin
I'm
Hart
not
said
tripping.
it ain't fun being rich by yourself.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you really succeeded if you haven't brought your whole squad with you? And so I'm bringing my whole team with me. I'm not just taking over the world. I'm doing big things with them. So, we're going to one day, one of us is going to get there. And it's just
all of us going to get there. If one of us
right?
get there, all of us going to get there. So,
I'm just saying, statistically, somebody going to get there. So I'm in there.
So Tennisha, when you're not trying to take over the world, what are you doing? Do you have like any like non-technical hobbies?
Yes. So I am a gambler. So I like poker and like craps. All the Carney poker games I'm a fan of. I read a lot. And then I also watch absolute trash TV. Like I'm talking about like all the first responder TV, like Chicago, everything.
Like First 48, like
not.
Okay.
See, it's got to be a little bit of. I need Shonda Rhimes to do it for real because
okay.
it needs to not just be like the railroading of black men. You know what I'm saying? Like, I needed to be like fanciful and like, ooh, I like this person. Oh,
that
they're
overtly
dead.
though.
Yeah, she's an equal opportunity like killer offer. She'll be like, "Oh, you like them? Doesn't matter, they're dead." Like that level of dramatics. When I recently had surgery in I think it was February, I literally watched a telenovela. There was like 300 episodes. It was in Spanish, and I watched I think 280 of those episodes so far. I've got like 20 more to go, but I'm trying to make my way through it.
I love telenovelas.
Man, what are you trying to prove?
Julio, don't you do that. I'm joking.
Shonda Rhimes is she's pretty dope.
She's serious, ain't she?
I mean, but one thing, like I pay attention to some things sometimes, and like her writing, I can tell like sometimes if she wrote it, because like
it's her signature.
Not to get off the subject, but she literally like has. I mean, her show 22 years for Grey's Anatomy. I can't believe that. Is that the longest running show probably in like, besides soap operas in like history? It's crazy.
Simpsons.
But more interesting.
The Simpsons.
The main character I think was the highest paid. I think she's the highest paid showrunner of Shonda Rhimes, and then I forget the lady, the Grey's Anatomy lady. She's
Ellen Pompano. She makes about $20 million
a year. It's something
season,
ridiculous.
Yes, or episode. I don't even know.
It's dumb money. But like, I love to see it, me personally, but I'm here for all of the trashy, like, it's not helping me take over the world, but it helps me to forget, like, I've never once worried about my problems while watching a Shonda Rhimes show. Like, it's like, I don't have problems when I'm watching Shonda Rhimes.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
It's like, they got problems. She about to die.
Hey, yo, how they gonna work that out? Let me go over here and finish up this doctorate.
You need to worry about stopping that bleeding, sir.
Hey, ooh, that's a love triangle. Good luck.
Right?
that's so, Tennisha, like, between all of your book writing, all of your reading, all of your telenovela watching, all of your conference scheduling, all of your podcast guest appearances, all of your actual podcast recordings, all of your trainings, how do you manage your schedule? How do you manage your time?
I have an executive assistant.
Fancy. Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, she keeps my entire life together. And before her, I had a different executive assistant, and they basically kept my life together. But they manage my schedules, and there's probably about 6 of them between like the school and work and all of the things. So she makes sure that there's no collisions, and that I keep all of the things being able to get them done. There have been times where like she'll like put in like, hey, this is time for you to do nothing. Hey, spend some time. Yeah, because like there'll be I've got some undiagnosed ADHD, so like there'll be days where I'll forget to eat the entire day, or I'll forget to drink water, or just basic things like go to the bathroom, for example. Like, how have you been sitting here for 6 hours not going to the bathroom?
Have I been sitting here for 6 hours?
Testify.
So she makes sure that I can get all of the things done. And that allows me to be able to operate at the level that I'm able to operate at, because, a lot of the coordination with, hey, we want you to come speak at this thing, or we want you to do this. A lot of this is a lot of scheduling and a lot of back and forth. Right. But my time is better spent, for me trying to do things like get money, raise funds for BGH, or, learn something or study to do my research for my doctorate or whatever. So that's how I'm able to get, and plus I have an amazing freaking like support system.
Yeah.
I've got so many dope people, who at times have crossed over. Like, it's like, hey, what can I do to help you with BGH things? And they'll be like, hey, you need some help with some BGH security things? Cool, I got you. Hey, you need some help. I've had, friends who will literally from BGH will come over and like help me do inventory, because I've got like a whole bunch of BGH merch in my garage, and I'm like, it's taking over all of the place. And my husband's like, I want my garage back, So it's I have an amazing support group, but which is amazing, because like I said, 5 years ago, I had like my 4 OG friends from like day one, and there was nobody else, and I've since expanded my circle, and it's been amazing, because I've had the opportunity to work with some dope, absolutely amazing human beings that, allow me to be able to do the things that I'm able to do. And they have faith in what it is that I'm trying to do, and my mission and my goal with BGH. And they support what it is that I'm trying to do. So, they free me up to be able to do things like, talk to companies, get the funding, negotiate all of the things that need to be done so that we can continue our mission.
So what I'm hearing from you is, if you want to go fast, you could go by yourself. But if you're trying to go far, you need to find the right group.
That's the whole sermon right there.
Listen, y'all. Listen, y'all.
You don't got the right people, because I'm telling you, I've done so much more in the past 5 years since I started, BGH, and started surrounding myself with different people and letting folks in, because I've always believed that humans were trash. I'm like, I don't want any of these people around me. I'm saying, like, I'm good. Like, I'll be all right. Me and my husband on the island, we chilling. You know what I'm saying? We're good.
Hey, but you find it home, like, it's good. Like, y'all can keep whatever happening out there. I'm gonna watch this on TV.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And then when the internet's off, I've got enough books here to probably last me the rest of my life. That I haven't even read yet, which is completely problematic, but neither here nor there. But for me, it's like, surrounding yourself with amazing people, I think allows me to be able to do amazing things, and I don't think I would be able to do it without them.
I actually struggle with that too. Like just trying to do everything myself. At what point did you realize that you needed to bring in someone else to support you that way?
When it started getting overwhelming, and it started feeling like, hey, I'm not able to get anything done. Like I said, I've got some undiagnosed ADHD. So like every day I have a list. Every day I have like a pile of things that I'm supposed to be working on. And it's like, how do I prioritize all of these things? And when it gets to the point where I'm not able to actually get anything done, then I know that I need to, rein in my chaos. But I think that the biggest thing is learning to trust other people, because, I've always been the person that says, hey, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Right. And I think for me, the hardest part as I've stepped within my career into management is actually trusting people to get things done, because realistically, if I do it myself, then I know it'll get done. When other people do it, you don't necessarily know that it'll get done, depending on who it is that's doing. Like, I've got some people who are absolute like solid that I can be like, hey, I need this done, and I don't have to ask no follow-up questions. I don't have to check in. They're going to get it done. They're going to send me a message like, hey, this was done, don't have to worry about it no more. But then I've got other folks that it's like, they need hand holding, they need micromanagement, and that's just not for me the way that I tend to work. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm going to let you go forth and conquer, and I just want to give you the vision. If you need more direction, then that's cool. So, but part of that involves trusting people, and figuring out what you can comfortably, like when you're looking at it from a risk perspective, what you can comfortably offload to someone else, that you're willing to accept the risk if it doesn't work out the way that you want it to. And for me, doing that mental gymnastics is, how I figure out like, hey, what can I offload to my executive assistant? What can I offload to my team? And what do I need to do, myself? And it works out for me, but it required me to actually start trusting people, because, like I said, like I've always felt like people were absolute trash, and it would be better if I just stayed away from them. But I'm coming around. I'm not going to be an introvert. Yeah. I mean, an extrovert anytime soon, but
Well, I mean, you don't have to be an extrovert. You just got to be the leader that you already are.
Yeah.
DC. Last year, I was in DC. Actually, around this time, I spent Juneteenth in DC. Okay. Is that something you celebrate, Juneteenth?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. We've actually got like a whole bunch of things that are lined up throughout the course of the week. We've got an event that we're doing with Blacks in Technology. Actually, a couple of events that we're doing with the local Fredericksburg chapter, which is near where I live. And we've got an event that we're doing with Palo Alto, and I think a couple of them that we're doing for BGH. But, our plan is to basically celebrate and, just put the word out during that time of, because I feel like there's a lot of attack on DEI efforts, attack on the work that we're doing indirectly. It's not like anyone saying, hey, Tennisha, the work you're doing is trash. It's just people saying like, hey, we don't think that there needs to be special organizations that are for Black women, like being super reductive in terms of, hey, we're attacking organizations that we think are discriminating against everybody else. But when I tell people, like, hey, BGH is open to all. I'm saying, like, where our focus is trying to increase diversity for Black women, but the organization is open to everybody. So it's not like we're discriminating in any way. Everybody's welcome to come and hack with us. But I think that the work that we're doing is important because, cybersecurity, you've been to the conferences, like it's super homogenous in terms of the folks that you see. And we're trying to see something different, especially if we're going to have, AI take over the world at some point. We want to make sure that, it's a world that's equitable and that there's equality in.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because some people actually thought that this show was like only for like Black people in tech. But actually, the way I tell them is like, we're for everybody, but our focus is in raising the level of representation in the industry. So yeah, we definitely, seek, and we tailor our content in the style that, most of us, are comfortable with. So you don't have to like worry about code switching and doing that whole thing. I'm not a big fan of code switching. But Ebony's made me look at and appreciate the other side of it. We brought that conversation to the
not for everybody.
So Rico, I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you work for somebody else, right?
I do.
How do you tell them when they got you effed up? Because I'm sure that there's probably at least one time, at least every week, where they've got you effed up. So how do you can't necessarily go to them and say that, you know what I'm saying?
You
verbally, I'm just saying, like,
verbally you can say that as long as there's no other witnesses. However,
so which Rico are you talking to, Tennisha?
Oh, you're so cute.
Are there multiple of you? Are you a Gemini? Is there like a good one and a bad one sitting over there?
Actually, there's another. I'm an identical twin. My twin's in the chat.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are they in? Is he in technology?
Yeah, he's a lead cloud engineer for Cloud One.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, he's okay. I had to piss him off. I'm sorry. But I mean, you're right. I can't say
so code switching. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't express how I'm feeling actually, because the way that I would say something just coming from Northeast DC probably will not be a way that's respectful, that is, what I'm saying, like, politically correct, I should say. You know what I'm saying? So I have to figure out a way to express myself in a way that is going to be well received, and that they get, not just the seriousness of like, I'm not the one, but then also like, this is how we need to do better. We need to improve this, and that's required, and if you think and speak and live in the same, vernacular that you work in, then, maybe there's not necessary for the code switch. But as I mentioned, like, I'm from DC, so like, I always say I'm a quarter hood, and that quarter has been known to get froggy, so it's important for me that I stay employed. So I can't tell people how I really feel about it.
Yeah. And I think, like, when I think about code switching, I'm going to the far end of the spectrum. I'm like, like Dave Chappelle impersonating a white person.
Good afternoon, Bob. It's nice to see you.
You know what I mean?
It's a great day. Yes.
So when I talk at work, I have to kind of like structure myself a little bit, because I'm from the South. I'm from Georgia, so yeah, we leave out a lot of sounds and a lot of words. It's weird. So that's the highest degree of code switching I do. But I do try to talk the way I talk, as much as I can, so people can get more comfortable with the way that I present myself. And I've gotten direction from people, a lot higher than me, that like, look, keep doing, because I go and try to like talk in front of people, because I'm an introvert too. I don't like talking in front of people. I don't like it's not super uncomfortable, but it's just not something I'd rather be doing, But I'm trying to put myself out there in a way that will allow me to transition as my career progresses. So it's, speaking in front of people, trying to build communities, and doing a lot of that kind of work. But like I said, some people have told me like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep presenting yourself in that way. People love it. They love the genuine and the authenticity that you bring to whatever conversation that you're having and whatever platform you're on. So, but yeah, I definitely appreciate your point in that. How we doing on time, guys? I want to. I know you got an electrical fire you got to get back to, Tennisha.
Or surgery or something like that.
She has a book review and 3 certification exams to take right after this. And plus,
I might have some homework. I don't know.
That there's a Shonda Rhimes show that starts in like 40 minutes. I'm positive.
Look, I'm halfway through Station 19, so like the latest episode, so I can, there's 30 minutes right there I can throw away.
So anybody that's out there, if you're looking to connect with any of the organizations that Tennisha's started for the community, for the betterment of community, not just Black people, not just Black women or Black girls, it's for anybody, right? There's a extreme focus, to build representation and help, help in that way. But yeah, we'll put the links in the show notes for anyone that's interested in these organizations, or if you're curious as to how to find Tennisha via her website. That is her first name. But yeah, if you have problem with the spelling, go to the show notes. And as always, you guys have any closing thoughts? Reggie, Ebony, or even Tennisha, it's your time. So
SquadCon, our call for proposals is open. The conference is in August in Las Vegas. We're still looking for speakers. Yes.
Right.
So we're still looking for speakers and sponsors. So, if you're looking to do either of those, please feel free to reach out. Our website is squadcon.me. And I think that's it for me.
I think Tanisha's mixtape is dropping next week, so look out for that. Look out for that. It's about to be her face on the cover, and then just like the world exploding behind her. So like, I'm really looking forward to that drop.
Look, it would have to be written because like my top of the head game is suspect, and I can't be trusted. So I'm gonna have to write it down.
Yeah, definitely check out Tennisha. I'm gonna be buying some of your books and checking out, some of your writings. That's dope. I really enjoy what you're doing. You definitely make me feel like I'm not doing enough with my life.
Look, you see what elevating your network will do?
Elevating that circle.
You only got one master's.
I only got two plaques on my wall. I might as well just tear them down and throw them in the trash.
Honestly, I don't even put mine up. I think most of my degrees are in the closet somewhere.
Just a minute.
Well, yeah. For me, I have low self-esteem, so it helps. So anyway, I just want to do my last closing remark. So as I was searching you for the show, I was very impressed with everything that you do and everything that you're doing in the future. So in talking to you, you're easy to talk to, you're articulate, and I just really, really appreciate you coming on the show and giving us that moment in your time, because I know your time is very valuable. So I just kind of want to put that out there.
Thank you for having me.
And you did show up late, so I want some swag.
What you want? We got some Black Men hack shirts, I think.
Yes. Because he can stop wearing that same shirt.
Hey man, it's a different shirt. No, Tennisha, don't believe that. They bully me.
That's Ebony right there.
I have 3 shirts that are the same in
all right,
Ebony.
Well, I think that's all the time we have.
Thanks for joining the show.
We really appreciate what Tanisha's out here doing, and we look forward to all of the amazing things she's about to do in the future. We're about to sign up for SquadCon. We're about to submit some talks. It's about to be amazing.
Yeah, but send me your addresses. I'll send you some swag. I can do that. That's easy.
Awesome. Make sure you do you got 3, 4. I mean, you can't see.
Hey, look, I'm on the chunky club too. It's all right.
Okay, just putting it out there. But
send your address and your size. She got you.
Yeah.